Topping today's news, the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas taking legal action against Cable Bahamas in relation to the Boxing Day Junkanoo broadcast, alive to address ticketing after ticket fraud plagued seating at the Boxing Day parade, and the Foreign Affairs Minister reacts to Cuban protests at the Bahamas Consulate in Miami. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Usually, any controversy surrounding Junkanoo involves who won and who lost or who got robbed. But at this year's Boxing Day parade, there is a controversy surrounding the live television broadcast of the parade. Executive Chairman of the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, BCB, Picewell Forbes, is calling out Cable Bahamas' Rev TV cable providers for its intrusion on ZNES's broadcast of the 2022 Boxing Day Junkanoo parade. On Monday evening, just before the start of the live broadcast, a graphic from rival Rev TV appeared on ZNES television, telling viewers wanting to watch the much-anticipated parade to go to cable channel 212. The message redirecting viewers, according to Chairman Forbes, is further proof of the fundamental issue of having a cable provider competing with the other stations that they are tasked to carry. Chairman Forbes, in a statement released on Monday night, noted that the move by Cable Bahamas occurred without any discussion or agreement with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas. Add to that, he explained that anti-competitive approach negatively impacted the satisfaction of contractual obligations the BCB had with advertisers and sponsors, as ZNES broadcast was blocked for more than 1 hour. Chairman Forbes says the Utilities, Regulations and Competition Authority, that's IRCA, will be notified of the conscious and deliberate action by Rev Cable Bahamas. And while he says the BCB takes the view that competition is good for the industry and good for the country, he condemns the action taken, which sought to deprive the public of the best Junkanoo representation done by ZNS, or best Junkanoo presentation done by ZNS. Cable Bahamas executives have yet to comment on that matter. Meanwhile, the unofficial results of the 2022 Boxing Day Junkanoo Parade saw One Family Warriors take first place with 92.7 points after winning 5 categories, including Best Choreography, Best Music, Best Off the Shoulder, Best Performance, and Best Overall Costuming. The Valley Boys took a close second place with a score of 92.4 points. Genesis Warhawks came in third, 83.9 points. Roots fourth with 86.5 points, and Saxons a disappointing fifth place, 84.7 points. Music Makers received a 40-point penalty after their lead costume had a major breakdown, and they ended the parade with 30 points in sixth place. Chairman of the One Family Junkanoo and Community Organization, Christina Muffin Fernandez, says the win is a very special one for the group. Well, with the New Year's Day Junkanoo Parade just days away and with scores of Bahamians and visitors set to flock Bay Street once again, Alive officials are defending their product after many people experienced their tickets being oversold not once but in some cases twice, causing confusion with the seating. The company's Chief Information Officer, Dwayne Davis, telling reporters that those hiccups were due to people committing ticket fraud.
What we did, as you know, when we did the app, Junkanoo was 100% online, of which 75% of tickets were sold in the app. What's been happening is we had occasions where persons took screenshots of tickets and shared them with persons. We had persons took screenshots of tickets and resold the tickets outside their original tickets. But anyone that comes to Bay Street with the original email of your ticket purchase confirmation, we will be able to seat you. It's also important to note that before we put the tickets on sale, the JCNP took a certain inventory of tickets outside of the system. Those will be the printed tickets. Alive is not responsible for any ticket that's printed. We are 100% responsible for any ticket that has been purchased virtually. Now, I know it's the first time we've done this. We stand behind our product, we stand behind the app, but there's a lot of fraud going on. We apologize for all of those who are not able to get a seat.
As a result of this, officials produced emergency tickets for people just in case something like that happened. However, those tickets were quickly exhausted. Meanwhile, tickets for the New Year's Day parade are undersold, with a reported more than 6,000 tickets still available, compared to 8,000 tickets being sold in a matter of days for the Boxing Day parade. Mr. Davis says the Boxing Day parade was a trial and error, noting that all matters will be addressed before the next parade.
Oh, we learned a lot for New Year's. What we're going to do, if we see the same demand for New Year's, I guarantee you, my team and I will come here and we'll personally track every seat. And whatever seat that's not in the system, we will make sure we take out the system. The lesson that we should have learned was that we sent out communication to everyone that bought a ticket. We want to tell you, when you come to Junkanoo, please bring your email purchase confirmation, and you would not have this issue. And also, too, our police and marshals were trained, but you know, they were a little intimidated by a certain way, right? So, but the most important thing for New Year's Day is that we're going to make sure that the inventory in the system matches the bleachers that we have as well, too.
Mr. Davis notes that Alive was only responsible for facilitating ticket sales, and all proceeds made from the ticket sales were handed over to the Junkanoo Corporation, New Providence. Officers are giving an update on how, through their joint effort, law enforcement was able to prevent any major crime on Bay Street during this year's Boxing Day parade. Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernando shared some of the tactics used to keep the peace.
As they enter onto Bay Street, you can see all of the entry, exit points are well manned, and you have officers on the perimeter to Bay Street. Our command center is up and running with all of the stakeholders in there. We have our CCTV cameras, and we have members from the electric monitoring company, and we have everything up on the screen that is assisting, and we are watching the parade. Anything out of the ordinary that is going on, a phone call to the area, and they will dispatch officers to disrupt.
Commissioner Fernando telling reporters that another concern for officers was the surrounding areas where people park their vehicles, as well as activity in those areas after the parade.
We are looking for before and after the parade. A number of vehicles are parked, especially on that Market Street, the old city market. That is manned. We have 2 mobile station vans. One is stationed there, and this one is just Elizabeth Avenue. We have identified all of the hot spots, and we have extra manpower in those areas.
This was the first time in history that a Junkanoo parade was manned by both the Royal Bahamas Police Force as well as officers from the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Some 800 police officers and Marines of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force were tasked with overall security at the parade. Meanwhile, Commissioner Fernando said in the new year, the public should expect a comprehensive policing plan that will take policing to new levels. And finally, in this segment, a small group of Cuban Americans staged a protest outside the Bahamas Consulate General office in Miami last week, demanding answers over the location of their missing loved ones. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs said in a statement that the Bahamas Consulate notified the U.S. Department of State Office Foreign Missions in Miami, which advised the diplomatic security officers accordingly. The Miami Police Department was also contacted, and they immediately dispatched police officers to the building. On Monday, Minister of Foreign Affairs Fred Mitchell commented on the protest and sought to explain why these things will likely continue to happen based on U.S. foreign policy in relation to Cuba.
We expect these kinds of things in South Florida from time to time, given the current tensions between the United States and our other neighbor, Cuba. For political reasons, the United States has placed a stranglehold on the Cuban economy. The loosening of the economic blockade under former President Barack Obama was reversed, and the stranglehold strengthened by then-President Donald Trump, and it has not been significantly adjusted by the now President Joseph Biden. The Bahamas has condemned blockade by the U.S., and Prime Minister Philip Davis most recently reiterated the position of the Bahamas when he paid an official visit to Cuba last week. We do not object on any ideological grounds, neither are we interested in a fight with our friends, the Americans. The problem is their economic blockade causes a security problem for the rest of us in CARICOM, and in particular the Bahamas, because it causes people to flee their country and they end up in the Bahamas. Under President Obama, there were few Cuban migrants in our detention center. Under Presidents Bush, Trump, and now Biden, there are significant numbers coming.
Apparently, the protesters were demanding answers to matters regarding Cuban natives seeking asylum in the United States, but were unable to contact them while they are here in the Bahamas. Mr. Mitchell confirmed there is presently a large number of Cuban migrants at the Carmichael Road Detention Center, and it is presently presenting a possible security risk.
And the detention center may, by this morning, have as many as 200 in the detention center. The pileup of the numbers is unsustainable and unacceptable. These are educated, politically savvy, and connected politically to the United States and South Florida politicians. The longer we take to move them back to Cuba, the more the chances of violence. There's been violence in the detention center and facility before, against, and there's also been attacks on our consulates and embassies in the United States. Our treaty with the Cubans obliges us to move people back home to Cuba within 72 hours once all of the formalities are complete. Yesterday, I briefed both the Prime Minister and the Immigration Minister about my concerns that I raised within the Foreign Ministry about the numbers and the internal issues and delays on repatriation.
Mr. Mitchell said it is regrettable that the geopolitical forces are beyond the control of the Bahamas government. However, he says those things we do have control over, like swift repatriation exercises, must take place. In the meantime, Mr. Mitchell says the Bahamas government urges the United States government to change the policies regarding Cuba because those policies threaten the security and integrity of the Bahamas. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.